Hey, welcome back to Get Down to Business. Today we're talking about something every business owner knows is vital for success. It's building a strong, positive team culture. My guest is an expert who has learned firsthand how to do this right. I'm excited to introduce Justin Long. Justin is an author, podcast host, and a hospital administrator for Spring Hill Equine Veterinary Clinic, a business he owns with his wife. Their clinic is renowned for its strong culture of learning and mentorship, which has helped shape the careers of many veterinarians. Justin is a passionate advocate for the power of a positive work environment, mental health, and effective teamwork, values he has had to learn the hard way after struggling with insecurity and toxicity early in life. Today he's dedicated to helping young people thrive both personally and professionally. I'm excited for this conversation. Justin Long, welcome to Get Down to Business.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
You bet. Justin, as mentioned, your clinic is known for its strong culture of learning and mentorship. You've said in the past, and I've heard you on podcasts, that a great culture has to be intentional and well-defined. Where do you recommend a small business owner begin when they want to build this kind of culture?
I think all positive culture has to start at the top. So the mindset of you as a leader, as a business owner, as the person who is coaching and shaping and mentoring your people, like you have to have your head in the right place before the rest of your business can fall in line. And the way that you conduct yourself, whether it's conscious or unconscious, is going to impact those people. So you better be conscious about what you're doing.
Your work with your wife is a great example of a strong partnership. What lessons can small business owners take from this dynamic when it comes to clearly defining roles within a team?
I think it is super important for both of us to be on the same page about everything that we do. My wife is the chief of medicine. She's in charge of all things doctorish. I am the head of the business. I'm in charge of all things business related. And there are a few places where that stuff overlaps, like if we need to make an equipment purchase, but that's stuff that we talk about. Otherwise, I don't step on her toes and she doesn't try to force her way into the business side of things when she needs to be focusing on the medicine side of things. So we work really hard at staying in our lanes and working together as a team rather than being two bosses that are always butting heads.
Yeah. And when you're hiring, Justin, how important is a candidate's alignment with your company's values and culture compared to their skills and qualifications?
1,000%. I can teach a person how to be a technician. I can teach a receptionist how to be a receptionist. All of the skills that we require are things that I can teach somebody, but I can't teach them how to be a good person. I can't teach them how to be a good teammate and how to conduct themselves in a way that makes the experience of working there positive for everyone that has to deal with them on a daily basis. So we very much hire and interview for personality and character rather than skills.
Justin, I mentioned in the show intro that you've learned the importance of some of these values the hard way after struggling with insecurity and toxicity earlier in your life. Can you share a bit of that personal journey and how it informs your approach to leadership today?
You bet. I grew up in a household with two very emotionally dysfunctional parents. And most of what happened that impacted my work life came from my dad. And my dad had this impossible standard of perfection that I could never meet. And so he would have all these chores for me to do. And then every day he would come home from work and check those things out with me and give me a spanking for all of the things that weren't perfect about all the chores that I did that day. And so I learned from a very young age that no matter how hard I try, I'm going to get punished. I'm going to fall short of the mark and that I'm never going to be good enough. And it also made me incredibly sensitive to criticism. So when I became an employee as an adult working in other companies and working around other people, I was super competitive. I tried over the top to impress everybody all day, every day. I couldn't take any criticism from anybody. I wanted to fight to the death over everything. I was a horrible teammate and a horrible employee. And I was completely unaware of those things. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I am super cognizant of when I'm talking to people who want to be on my team. Because that kind of mentality will destroy a workplace.
I'm chatting with Justin Long. Justin is an author, podcast host, and the hospital administrator for Spring Hill Equine Veterinary Clinic, a business he owns with his wife. Justin, I really appreciate you sharing about that journey. So now, how does fostering emotional intelligence and open communication improve a team's performance and overall culture?
I'll give you an example of the importance of understanding each other on a team and how to communicate. My wife and I discovered a personality profile called the 5 Voices, which is now a big part of our business model. And in that, we learned that my wife is a pioneer and I am a guardian. And as a pioneer, my wife makes quick decisions and she communicates in bullet points. Like she can communicate or receive information either way in 3 bullet points and get everything she thinks she needs to know. As a guardian, I need 3 to 5 pages of details before I can even feel comfortable that I have my head wrapped around what we're talking about. And before we understood that about one another, I would drown her in information and she would starve me for information. And it's the same across the spectrum. There's a multitude of different personality types, and everybody needs to receive information in a different way, and they project that information in a different way. And if you don't understand where each person on your team is coming from, you're going to have a lot of communication conflict, not to mention all of the frustrations that come along with that. The work doesn't get done in a timely fashion. There's miscommunications. Things just don't work near as well as they do when you understand one another.
And finally, before we have to cut to a quick break, in what ways can a company's culture support a team's mental health and personal development?
We at Spring Hill Equine, we pay for mental health for anybody that is on our team. And it doesn't matter if they're a part-time person, a doctor, anybody in between. When the people that work for us are in a better headspace for themselves, they are in a better place for the team, and everybody wins.
What would you say is the first step a leader can take to better understand their team and their clients?
I love the philosophy that you must know yourself to lead yourself, and you got to be able to lead yourself before you can lead a team. And I think the farther you go down the rabbit hole of understanding all of your little quirks and why you do the things you do and how to change those things that you want to change about yourself, the better you can understand where the people on your team are at and help them find their way to a better place.
Yeah. And Justin, we just talked about people, but I also want to briefly touch on mission. You believe a company's mission should impact every single decision you make. I agree wholeheartedly. How can business leaders ensure their mission remains central to their team's attitude and their customers' perception?
I think it's important to not only that everybody on the team knows what the mission is, but your customers should know what your mission is. You should talk about it all the time. Our mission is to make the world a better place for horses. And we do that by educating our clients in every interaction that we have with them, whether that's a vet appointment, we have a podcast, we have books, we have blogs, we have videos on YouTube. We try to educate people, and everybody that deals with us knows that our mission is to make the world a better place for horses. And we make decisions around that. You know, it gets complicated when owner finances come into play and owner willingness to go along a difficult recovery path and things like that. But we make our decision and our recommendations based off of what's right for the horse, and everything else is secondary to that. And when you stay true to that mission, people understand that. And I think people respect that and will find their way to meet you where they need to meet you so that you can be successful in that mission.
Yeah, and be clear in it and make sure it's clearly articulated to everybody, clients, teammates, and so on. So, Justin, I want to give the final word to you, my friend. If you can give a young person one piece of advice on how to thrive both personally and professionally, what would it be?
I would say no matter what profession that you are going in or trying to get into, especially if you're still in high school and college, every way that you can educate yourself on communication skills will impact the rest of your life. The more you can clearly and effectively communicate with people in any and every capacity, the better you will do. And I find that people come into veterinary medicine because they like animals better than they like people. And I think there's probably 1,000 industries that are that same way, that you don't think about the fact that just because it's not customer facing or whatever, that you don't have to deal with people. But no matter what you do, you have to deal with people. And I think that doesn't have to be a negative experience, and it shouldn't be a negative experience. And you have a lot of control over that. You're 50% of every conversation that you're in. And the better you are at managing that and clearly getting your point across to other people, the better your life will be.
Well, you're in a very interesting line of work, and I just admire so much how you are continuing to share lessons learned and how vulnerable you have made yourself in sharing your own personal journey and using that as an opportunity to teach others. Justin Long, really appreciate your time and your expertise today. Where can our listeners find your podcast and books to learn more?
Everything that we have is on our veterinary clinic website at springhillequine.com. I also have my author website at jboydlong.com. And all of those things have links to our podcast, which is called Straight from the Horse Doctor's Mouth, and all of our books and other resources that we have. There's a lot of good stuff there.
And to be clear, the podcast is not just for horses, right?
No, it's for all kinds of stuff. It's centered around horses, but it's a life podcast.
But entrepreneurs can tune in as well. That's what matters. No, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Good. Just making sure. Justin Long, really appreciate it. And that's a wrap for us this week on Get Down to Business, the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. We've had 4 amazing, fantastic guests. We're going to be back with more next week, of course. Get on my website, shalomklein.com. I love to hear from our listeners, people and horses alike. And you can always get on your favorite podcast app. Just search for Get Down to Business. Rate, review, and share to make it easier for others to find it. To success, let's get down to business. We'll see you next week.